And on a Sunday, my ticket is a one-way. I'm about to play in the sky. I always knew you'd make it one day. Today was such a fun day. And I think that's the first. I got out, free fly, just the sky and the love.
Yeah. Welcome back to WazzyCircus Radio. My name is Waz. We're brought to you by LearnToSkydiveAwesome.com and WazzyCircus.com. My guest tonight. Okay, I love comedy. I watch a lot of comedy. I've tried comedy on stage. I've tried comedy in my classes. I see funny and I like funny. And I know people that are good and well-crafted. But some people are just hilarious, okay? And my guest today's name is Mike Eaton, and he is fucking hilarious, my friend. I don't care what anybody says, dude, which I haven't heard anything, but man, you're a good time. You're like a walking good time.
Oh, man, I appreciate that.
Right on. What's going on, Mike Eaton?
Oh, just living the dream.
All right.
We went flying today.
We went flying today.
I'm still a little frazzled.
Are you seriously?
Yeah, man.
All right. How'd it feel?
Like drugs.
Yes.
Ish.
Oh, yeah. Yes,
but I didn't cough as much.
All right.
No, it was really cool. I said this to you earlier. There was like a moment where I was like, maybe this is like a really profound experience,
right?
Of like fighting the wind or not fighting it, and like listening. But the whole time, like when you're closing a bag of bread. And you just like spin it. I felt like that was gonna be my dick in the cage below me. Like I was just gonna be that bag of bread, and I was gonna twisty tie my dick off. I was terrified.
All right, okay. So for y'all that followed the tunnel before, we were on the net at low speed so we can get some turns in and learn what he's doing. But I can understand that fear. It is, I told you there's electricity in the net.
It's incredible. I can feel it.
Yeah. Zapping.
Yeah.
All right. So, when you finally, because we struggled for a couple minutes.
Yeah.
Right?
That is accurate.
But that's a beautiful thing, because if you get it easily, it's be like, oh, it was cool, man. But you had to fight for it, right? And then you got it, because I saw your face when you had it.
It was very fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's overwhelming at first, because you're like steering and steering and steering, and so it's like you have to have all of the three things right at the same time. And that was too many things for me. I can do one thing, man.
I can focus on one thing.
Yeah.
No, you did great. Turns a little aggressive.
Yes, that's me.
Fun, right? Hey, it's such a metaphor for people's lives, how they fly, how they attack it. Yeah. It's the exact same way.
Like, I turn very fast because I spend a lot of time watching Too Fast, Too Furious.
Oh, so inspiration.
Yeah.
It's wrong.
R.I.P. Paul Walker. Oh. The widest thing of all time.
That was it.
Pour one out for the homie P-Dub.
Oh, man. So, when you learn how to go up, why did you freak out? Because you knew how to come down first. Why? Because it happens to a lot of people. When they start to go up, they freak, even though they know how to come down. When they start to go up, they freak out. What is it?
It's like a fight or flight response. Like you feel it because everything in there is like exponential. Like one turn isn't like a little bit, and then this is not twice as much. It's like 5 times as much.
10 times as much.
Yeah, and like doing the concave versus convex on your chest, like it's exponential again. So like when you start to fly up at first, you're like, oh cool, this is working, and then it really kicks in, and you're like, oh shit, that's really working.
Right. Man.
And then you immediately go into trying to remember, like, oh shit, do I do the legs now? And then the other part of it.
Do the legs now?
Yeah, man.
You were like, legs now?
Yeah, because you kept just doing this. I was like, I'm trying crying. I thought I was doing this. And when you say this, I think, all right, do them all the way straight. He can't mean all the way straight.
No.
I'll move them just a wee bit. And then the wind would kick and they'd go, whop, 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 whop. Yeah, I felt like a windsock half the time.
It was so awesome because your face lit up like a freaking firecracker when you got it, man.
It lit up when you grabbed him. We're like, all right, I got this. Let's go, fat boy. And then you grabbed the top. I would love to see what that looks like from the outside looking in, because it's mostly just been children, like up to this point. So it's like a grown adult and a child. They're like, here you go, this is fun, child. And I come in there, and you're like, all right, here we go, bud. And I'm just smashing into the glass. There's all these parents looking like, oh, is that like a special needs kid? What's going on there? He's flailing around quite a bit. Poor Waz, he's so kind. Look at him. It's supposed to be community service.
Oh man, I was laughing. I'm not kind. I am laughing my ass off.
Oh, it was fun though.
Hey, but the wind is like a metaphor. You gotta be patient, man. It doesn't happen. Yeah, right. You gotta wait. You gotta put it in. Whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, it's a good metaphor for life because it's harder for fat people.
That's not true. That's not true.
Oh, come on.
Corbin was shredded in front of you.
Are you calling Cat fat?
No, you just fucked up, man. Man, she knows she's big and she works on it and she struggles with it and she's kicking ass. She's losing weight. I'm not making fun of her.
No, it said you were. I was just being a dick. It's just fun sometimes.
I know. These are my friends, man. They're gonna watch this shit.
Yeah. We love you, Kat.
I love you, Kat Corbin.
We will go drink again soon.
Immediately.
She was giving me advice today.
I'm flying.
Actually, on sleeping with lesbians. That was.
She's good.
I shared that was like a bucket list thing of mine, not like in a moral or nice or kind way. Just like I wonder if I could. Which, you can't really, because that's the whole point of it.
That's weird.
It is.
That'd take a lot of. That's weird.
Yeah.
Right. That'd be like trying to do the exact same thing to a guy.
Yeah. No, I'm not saying it's not weird. Yeah, it's very weird. It's not like a thing like I'm excited about. Like,
it's just like a
we've
life
just
goal.
been drinking after comedy the other night, and I was just like, so. You might understand this.
This is my life's goal.
Let me overstand some boundaries here.
Oh.
Yeah. Let's get back to serious talk.
All right. No. Fuck serious talk. So, I met you on the mic scene. Hanging out, telling jokes, making people laugh, giving joy to the world, I believe.
Yeah.
And there's a way people do things, and you approached it very professionally. I know that's the wrong word to say. I don't want to make it all cliche or anything, but I could tell you have been in boardrooms and have had to make your point in a sly way, right? Or you've had to, somebody said something snarky and you're not allowed to do what I would say, but like, bitch, right? You can't say that.
Yeah.
In a PowerPoint meeting.
I will drop you, we're in the air. Yeah, I can't say that.
I would drop you.
Yeah, like listen, people you should not talk shit to. The guy you're strapped to at 10,000 feet.
But so like, how does your real life, which you are like a nationwide dealer for the hat I'm wearing and probably some clothes my listeners are wearing, right now, like you're the dude that supplies.
Yeah. So. It's really most of my job right now is really explaining technology to people that don't understand it, and like having grown up in like the digital age, dude. I downloaded like my first pornographic film on the internet at like 7. Like I grew up on the internet, so like
You like grew up. I matured.
Yeah, well, no, never that, but like I learned.
Really,
things.
you didn't mature at 7?
I haven't done that at all yet. 27, still not matured. But
I gotcha.
so I use my understanding of things to explain it to people that have no understanding, and comedy is a great tool in every domain. Like stand-up is, of course, supposed to be just funny, but like it's gotten to the point where people are tired of just funny and they want stuff that kind of makes a point or tells a good story that has some meaning, and that transcends just performance art and goes into things in the boardroom, like you said.
Right.
It's really it's a very valuable tool. Like the sales process of like me, know me, trust me, pay me.
Okay, that's the process. So, like me, know me, trust me, pay me.
Yeah, so like you have
Okay.
to move people among each of those like quadrants
Right.
to get a sale. It's like
Okay.
if they don't like you, they're like
Yeah.
they're never gonna want to get to know you.
Right.
And like if they don't know you, they're never gonna trust you.
Right.
And if they don't trust you, like you would never get someone you don't trust any money.
Right.
So like you got to move them up the ladder. And like one really great way to get people to like you immediately is jokes.
All right. On.
So.
Yeah.
I mean, and I grew up fat too, so like I've just always been fat, like which is great. I love it. It made me have a personality. You meet a lot of people that grew up skinny and they just have shit personalities because like their whole life's just been easy. They're like, yeah, I was always hot. Like, yeah, I don't want to talk to you anymore. But like, but like you know, so I grew up fat, and so you had to figure out a way besides looks for people to like you.
Right.
And so the easiest way is fat jokes. Like that's probably how it started.
But does it have to, okay, but it doesn't have to be self-degradation.
Oh, no, absolutely not. But
Right.
that's a great tool.
Yeah.
Because
of course, if you can laugh at yourself, you can laugh at the world. If you can laugh at the world, you're the happiest
Yeah.
man alive.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think like the last few like terrible pieces of news I've had, it's kind of been like,
I know how that feels. It's like
it sucks, but like I
got
know
me.
eventually it's gonna be a funny story.
yeah. Because you're
not.
all right. Or not, but you're all right. I mean,
Yeah.
you're all right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's where it comes from. Like, you're all right. Like
Yeah.
morbid comedy doesn't,
Yeah.
yeah.
Dude, it's so weird. So like that genre of comedy is called black comedy.
Okay.
But it's so weird because
a white guy
like,
telling, like,
I like to do like tell
satanic
people like, so what
shit.
kind of comedy do you do? Black comedy. Like
Really?
he's I was like sometimes blue. And they're like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Really?
But those are those are the genres.
That's like the
Black comedy or dark comedy, dark humor, that's all kind of one
Okay,
genre
okay.
of talking about taboo stuff.
Yeah.
And then blue is generally about being explicit for explicit's sake and more pressing edge. It's generally more sexual in nature. Like if
Okay.
you've ever heard.
It's not like sad when you say blue comedy.
No,
thought
I
it was
know,
like
and that's
sad
what you would
comedy.
think. No, blue comedy would be closer to like Doug Stanhope when he does his
Stanhope.
jokes about ISIS beheading videos and compares them to like softcore porn.
Right.
Like that's
That's
blue
blue
comedy because
comedy.
it's gruesome, which is why it's so funny. Is that he's drawing analogies between something that's already
And
taboo,
black would be
more like gallows humor, like
just to
Yeah,
like
like-
dice. Oh, fucking
well, no, he's more an insult comic. I think it would be like trying to think of a good example. So Daniel Tosh,
Okay.
has a great joke from his special People Pleaser, where
Okay.
he says, sometimes you like fuck with a crowd and like they're really, particularly like New Orleans, it's like really defensive, and they will get very mad at you. Like they still get upset if you walk out and say "fuck the Saints." I'm not going to pander your city because God gave it a much needed bath.
right.
And it ruined his whole show. But he was like, but $5 is still $5, and like his friend backstage had bet him. So like that, it's a great fucking joke, but it's more
Of an attack.
just about the idea of making fun of. And at that point, it had been several years since Katrina already, so it wasn't like he was saying it right after the fact.
That's black. That would be black humor. That'd be dark humor.
Yeah, by the technical sense.
Really, it didn't sound dark. I think dark would be like just like
God gave a much needed bath.
but that's not,
Come
there's
on.
worse shit than that.
Come on, he's pretending God exists. That's vulgar.
I'm fine with
Do
it.
we open this box of worms?
No, we will not.
All right.
Oh, we can't. I don't
We'll
give a
pray
fuck.
about it.
We yeah, I had a joke about like it'd be like to our black Houstonites, God is with you, our prayers are with you. We'll offer assistance and water and care to our white Houstonites. There's great oceanfront property. Fucking
Exactly.
rebuilding commercial zones. It's amazing. It's a steal. Yeah. That's the way that was. That was years ago. Hey, I had a buddy that went down with the fucking Cajun Navy.
Yeah.
On flatboat pontoons and pulled people out with ropes and shit. That's
I have one as well.
badass.
Yeah, they're
Did
good
you
people.
go?
Yeah, no.
Oh, yeah, friend. Yeah, we both got friends.
I didn't
We're both
go.
honorary
My good
Cajun
friend
Navy.
Julian went. Yeah.
Oh,
but-
that's dope, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, guys loaded up their trucks,
They gave a shit.
They gave a shit. They all, like, locally, everybody gave a shit. Really. It was really cool.
Well, it's a very tightly knit community.
Yeah,
like, I love New Orleans.
No, this was Texas.
Oh, you're talking about Texas.
Cajun Navy.
Oh, I was talking about Cajun Navy.
Okay, New Orleans.
Yeah.
Okay, that was a while. This was recently. What
Harvey.
Harvey.
Yeah, I got some Harvey jokes.
You got Harvey jokes? So
they didn't like him in Houston.
That was my Harvey joke.
Yeah.
I forgot Katrina was. That was a long time ago.
I know. Do you remember? Kanye told us all.
George Bush didn't like white people. Yeah, black people or white people. He didn't care about nobody but cash. So.
Yeah.
Who had the joke where he's just eating chicken wings and shit, talking about, I got him, what the fuck they gonna do about it?
Yeah. Oh, shit.
That was Mike Epps. Yeah. He said George Bush just sit with his shirt off, eating chicken wings, counting his money. I fucked him.
I wanted to be president for a while. Well, not president, senator. I wanted to be a senator.
I know you did. That's pretty fucking cool. For the so which is wild, man. Comedy, do our lives develop where we're going with our? Comedy is our lives, right? So you're, like I was saying before, you're very poetically precise with how you tell your jokes. This is awesome. You used to work for Senator John McCain, who represented the state. I'm from Arizona.
Volunteer. Workforce is strong word.
Fucking thing.
But yeah. I hate when things make me sound like I was or ever will be important. Hold the fuck up. Because if you're important, then people get offended at things you say, and I don't ever want to have to censor myself.
Yeah. Important.
So I can be funny always, but like I like famous money, but I don't want to be famous.
Yeah, I don't want to be famous either.
Yeah,
that'd be like
I do. That sounds very fun. Yeah, I don't care.
Man, can you imagine having to send somebody out to get your shit? Always having to have people do shit for you.
Sounds amazing.
That's ridiculous.
Dude, if I could not leave my house, that would be like, all right, I'm going to ride in an Uber Black to the comedy venue, tell my jokes, and go right the fuck back home. But I would also have to have a full bar and,
of course.
and hot bartenders.
Yeah, man.
Guys and girls, bring a crowd in.
Yeah, we're two different lives.
Yeah.
I want to be around people and fucking make fun of people.
No, I do too. I just want them coming to me. And then at the end of the night, I can be like, all right, I'm going to my half of this area. You guys, if any of you girls have daddy issues, I'll be in the master bedroom. Yeah. Let me know.
Palace.
Yeah.
All right. So, open mics.
Yeah.
Comedy in general, where's your favorite place you've done so far? And why, would you say? Like, what room?
You know, I think Mr. Tramp's at the Sunday shows.
Fuck yeah. Oh, Sunday. See, I've never been to the Sunday show.
The Sunday show is so... I like it. I have a love-hate relationship with it, but I think that makes me like it more. Just the idea of having all comics there, pretty much.
Right.
And then 2 or 3 just random people will always be there.
Right.
And you can go up and there's no pressure there. Like a lot of places where you go to tell jokes, like at an open mic, you can feel like just kind of the judgment of comedians there.
Right.
Like you go up there and they're like, all right, let's see if it's funny. And it's almost they're like begrudging you a laugh. Like they don't want to give the laugh for the jokes since they're like, oh, I should have thought of that. And I was like, fuck it, it's all love. So like I think at Mr. Tramp's like that's really true. Like it is all just love. Like everybody goes up, they do their 3 or 4 minutes. Or they cut it short because they freak out. There's a lot of first timers, which are hilarious to watch.
Yeah, it's good.
And then like you have some of the bigger names in like the smaller local scene doing their material and honing it and
sharpening. Yeah, sharpening the blades.
Well, yeah, and cheap drinks.
Right.
It's like such a plus.
It is.
And it's like an easy location for people to find. So, like, I mean, like, all of that kind of goes into it for me. I've met a lot of cool people there, and I've had a lot of good sets there.
Right.
Where people were willing to go with me places. Like, I have some jokes that have just, like, a ridiculous premise that are kind of story-based. And for comics, they don't want to hear the story. Just tell me the punchline. That's what I want to judge. Like, we all believe you can do setup. All right, let's hear the punchlines.
Right.
And that's hard to do when you are trying to set up for a 10 and 15, 20-minute bit. Like, you can't just do punchlines.
Right. Yep.
So, like, there have been times where, like, people will allow me, like, the space to not be judgmental while I take them on the journey at the beginning.
Yeah, wow.
So last Sunday I told the story about my first gay strip club.
Okay.
And it went over very well with the crowd because they let like the premise be enough. And then it...
To carry.
Yeah.
I need to laugh now. I need another laugh.
Yeah.
You're not moving fast enough, right?
Like, it doesn't have to be funny that I was at a gay strip club. It just was.
Yeah,
and that's fine.
Right.
Whereas sometimes you feel like they're expecting every sentence to have something funny about it.
Isn't that crazy how a good story can carry a room for a second, and you can lift them up and then just destroy it with the fucking right line at the right time?
Yeah,
oh my
100%.
God. It's like, can you imagine around ancient campfires, the dude that would like stand up and lead them on this thing?
Yeah.
They'd probably stone his ass though.
I would love to have watched that. Just not the stoning part, but like just the first storyteller with his bullshit awful grammar,
right? Like
getting up there and just fumbling his way through some bullshit love story.
Sounds like you can see it on Sunday nights at the Tramp.
It's very close. There are almost always. I find it so funny. I feel like veterans who were in like specifically the Army tend to think they can do open mics.
Right.
Like, just because they were funny in service, and like all their buddies like, you're the funny guy, and so they're like, oh yeah, I'm the fucking funny guy. This has made people laugh in a conversation.
Right.
And so then they come and they do their first open mic, and it's always like two of them, and they look almost like the same dude. Like, it's like a white dude with a crew cut and like a polo shirt on with jeans.
Right. Yeah.
And they'll sit in the back and just talk to each other and drink about 6 PBRs. And then, like, they get called up and their name is always, like, Braden Smith. And then the one dude's like, woo, get him, Braden.
Shout out to Braden. I love that.
Yeah. So, like, so then, like, the dude will go up there and, like, he'll always start with a joke that he thinks is just gonna fucking kill it. And it's some bullshit, stupid thing we've all heard, like, 1,000 times. So he's like, hey, man, you ever think pussies are funny? And we're all like... continue.
I'm a huge fan of Tramps, and I talk about it all the time. I would not have wanted to do my first fucking set ever.
Yeah.
On that stage, that would have been tough, man. Just the room's intimidating.
You think so?
Well, man, there's 12 guys in the back with their phones out staring at you, just wait like piranhas, like hyenas or some shit. You can see their heads bobbing, like, say something, say, you're not funny, motherfucker. You know, at first, it looks, dude, like...
That's fair.
It's a little intimidating at first, and everybody knows each other. And the punchlines are some of the guys that aren't even funny. They'll say something funny because their friends know it, and you're not in the joke. It's like, oh, I'm a comedian here. Nobody knows me. They're not going to laugh.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not in the crowd because I don't know what the fuck he just said, you know? Man, I went to Thirsty Goat on my first one.
Okay.
Oh, is it Thirsty Goat? It's something goat.
That's a brewery.
Love Goat.
Oh,
Love
yeah,
Goat.
That's a fun one.
That was fucking fun. That was light and easy, and it was... I
hated the crowd, but I love the venue.
Really? So,
yeah, I went, and they had live music going on afterwards. And I was one of the last comics to go. And so while I'm up there, like, there's just ladies carrying in all of their band equipment directly in front of me. And, like, I'm in the middle. The joke I told there one time I went was, like, the story of losing my virginity. And it's, like, a very stupid graphic story. And I'm getting to, like, the hard part to tell on stage because it gets dark for a minute, and I don't have. It takes like 30 seconds of getting really dark before I bring it back up.
Right.
And I'm saying
you're digging,
and then they immediately break all of the tension by just carrying like like guitar and like a hi hat that's like. I'm like.
Lost the crowd.
So yeah, but you got to deal with it. I mean, but in all honesty, I've only performed probably about 40 times in total.
Really?
Ever? Yeah, on a stage. Yeah.
Right. But you apply. I can tell. Like,
I
there's
tell a
people
lot of
I've
jokes
seen
just in
40.
person,
There's people I've seen 40 times that still haven't caught on. Yeah, even just to try to loosen up or whatever, you know. But yo, like my first set at Goat, I held my phone like this. Like
Fuck
here,
yeah.
And I was like, that wasn't funny.
Dude, that's awesome.
I did that for 3 minutes, man. Like, that wasn't funny. It was so fucking tough, man.
Yeah. Dude, it's scary being up there sometimes.
No, it's fuck you, terrifying. It's like needles in your skin.
Yeah. Well, you know, like, I always freak out right before I go up. Like when every single time, no matter what.
Right.
Like it'll be like 2 people before me and then 1 person before me, and like that person, like they get the light, and I'm like, oh, it's a minute to like go on, and my heart's just like. And so like I've got a good buzz going, or I've smoked something, so it's kind of like, all right, cool, I can chill out and have some presence about it. But sometimes I go and do sets completely sober, and it's like.
Really?
and so it's
you
not
feel
until
more precise or more on point? Not at all, huh?
I watched the video, and it really, what I've determined the difference between my good sets, because I have great sets and I have terrible sets. I don't have anything in between.
Okay.
Like, and it all is based on how confident I feel about the beginning of it and how well I have that in my head. Because if I go up there and like I have like a good opener and I can be easy with it, like I have the one where I hate to like spoil all my material on camera, but I have the counting one that I do where I count at the beginning and then make a joke about premature ejaculation. like I open the set with that, and the silence at the beginning gives me the control over the crowd. And that works really well because they're immediately attentive.
Drawn in.
And I have a very unassuming face. Like, I just look like a friendly fat person. So, like, when you see me and I, like, am just counting, like, your imagination's already like, what the fuck does that sound like? And then, like, because I'm just doing this up there, and then I come out and I say something, like, loud and offensive right off the bat, and it's like, oh, shit!
Whack!
Yeah, and then they're ready. But, like,
here we go,
on my bad sets, when I open up, I overthink that getting into a point, because that's something I do every time too. Like there's no good way to open a set. Like it's a 4-minute set. Like I'm doing comedy now. Like
right. I know.
Comedy,
I've struggled with those too. Like
And part of it is like you want to address it, like the meta of, all right, I'm in a 4-minute set, so I don't have any time to waste on the bullshit of getting into this
at all.
But at the same time, like you need the bullshit of get them into this to be able to do the set.
Right.
Like if you're gonna tell someone a 3-minute joke for one punchline, that first minute has to be a reason for them to buy in.
It has to be amazing. You have to give them something first to get them in, right? Because if not, you're just talking, dude. You're just like you're just running on a story. Dre Ricks was on the other day.
Yeah.
And we were tying it in with
funny fucking dude.
Yeah, good dude. Waiting tables.
Yeah.
And how that translated into comedy, right? And Dre was right, man. He was like, yo, when they sit down, they're hungry. Same thing in comedy. When they see you, they want something from you to know. Like, they're not dealing with you right now. They don't want to hear shit from you. You got to give them something. And then once you get them on board, once you give them an appetizer, then they'll loosen up. They get their entrees. At the end of the night, it's always all good. But you've got to give them something. And if you withhold too much, I've tried like drag out a long intro. It just falls. Nobody gives a fuck. About 2.5 seconds in, nobody cares about what you're saying.
Yeah, I feel like you really have about 10 seconds to win the crowd over, and if you don't win them over in that first 10 seconds, it's just like incrementally harder the longer it takes. Like
it's kind of like with flyers. If you don't get it in the first 10-15 seconds, it just gets harder the entire time in the tunnel.
I can attest to that.
It just it just crumbles, dude. It just crumbles. You gotta, So, grew up in the DFW area.
Yeah.
How was that lifestyle?
Interesting. So
DFW be Dallas Fort Worth. So, are you in the Dallas or the Fort Worth side?
Little column A, little column B. My parents were divorced when I was real early. I always like to say they had like this long, drawn out custody battle, and I lost. But so dad was in Dallas, mom was towards Fort Worth, and then they kind of moved around. But I grew up like right off the bat like super duper poor. And then by the time I was like almost 10, my dad had started making a shit ton of money. So I went from like poor ghetto parts of the Dallas area to living in like one of the wealthiest zip codes in the U.S. And like, I mean, it was cool. I didn't have anything to do with it. Like,
of course,
I'm a resource drain, if anything.
But you get to see both sides, man.
It was cool.
You get to experience this and experience the other side. So you're not just not cushioned.
Yeah.
Or you're just not like deprived, right?
Exactly.
You've seen both.
Yeah, I had like a good experience of being around like a lot of different kinds of people. I liked rich better. It was better than poor. I have to say that. Right. If anybody's ever wondering, like if they should try it, definitely go for rich. I know the poor stuff is affordable, but rich is just much better.
So from 10, 11 on, Pops was good.
Yeah, Pops was good, and then Mom started to become pretty good as well.
Okay.
And so it was just like kind of a nifty, growing up in that area. It gave me a lot of opportunities I wouldn't normally have.
Right
Which I'm like super grateful for. Like I learned like really early on that like I cannot be trusted to have any kind of power.
How did you find that out?
So God, there's a wealth of stories, dude. White privilege is real as fuck.
Okay.
Dude, there's so many times that I got in trouble with cops. And they would talk to me, and I would just be respectful.
Right.
Be like, yes, officer. Oh, I'm so sorry, officer. And then they're like, all right, have a great night. Just nothing.
Right.
Like, I should be in prison. And
They saw
nothing.
the body.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, it's unbelievable. But so I did a thing called Teen Court, which is like a deferred adjudication program where when you get in trouble, so I got in trouble for going 128 and a 65 because I wanted to go fast.
Motorcycle?
No, Jaguar.
Oh, nice.
First car.
Well, very good. Oh, wow.
It was a decade old, but it was still
It doesn't fucking
amazing.
matter.
Yeah,
That's
it was
good.
a Jag.
That's a
Yeah,
good car. I love Jag. Which one
and
was
I was
it?
still too fat to
XJS?
pull bitches in a Jaguar.
Which one was it? Do you know?
XJ6. Yeah, it was a 96 XJ6 in Topaz.
Nice.
Yeah, I love that car. But so I was just out driving on the highway and I get pulled over. Yada yada yada. So Teen Court, you have people who have been given a Class 5. Level 3 misdemeanor, I want to say, but so like minor in possession of alcohol, tobacco, etc. And you would have a lawyer and someone representing the state that were both volunteers for Teen Court, and then it would be a jury of other kids who had gotten that ticket. And then the lawyers would argue over your community service sentencing between 52 and 64 hours. So your defense attorney was just another fucking teenager that had probably also fucked up at some point.
Okay.
Me. And they were saying, like, you should only get, 52 hours. And then the person representing the state was saying, oh, they should get 64. They're a piece of shit. You learned, like, argumentation, and, like, you learned about, like...
White privilege is real.
Dude, it was awesome.
Holy shit.
Yeah, so I did that, and...
What? You got to be judged by your peers as a...
Yeah, but we had real judges, like, real circuit judges, like, coming in, and we were in the city courthouse.
What a lesson. What a beautiful introduction into the justice system.
Yeah, it was...
That's not how my introduction was.
Yeah, I would imagine not.
Yeah, none of it.
It was a really unique experience, but...
And that's DFW area.
That was in Southlake, so it was called Metroport Teen Court. I'm sure it's probably still around.
Beautiful.
But so
what
I did
a good
that.
program.
But this is where it gets fucked up. So there were all of the hot girls from my high school, of course, would get minor in consumptions, like being drunk, underage, and so they would get sentenced to Teen Court, and then they would show up to Teen Court, and I ran that shit because I was good as fuck at arguing. Like eventually, I started off just volunteering as a lawyer, and then I worked my way up, and I was like the best one there. So
so you went in for a charge.
Yes.
And then end up saying, hey, how can I come back to this place?
Yeah.
Dope.
Yeah, and so I
they
stuck
said,
around for...
you can learn how to be a
2
lawyer.
years. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so I did that as like community service hours. So like anytime I got a ticket, I already had shit tons just built up, and I just turn it in and be done.
You're 16, 17?
You started off at 16. Yeah.
Beautiful.
And then I did that for 17 and 18 as well. Yeah, I did it for
is
like 2.5 years, 3 or something like that. Yeah, but so these girls would get their tickets and shit, and they would go in there, and then they'd be like, "Hey, Mike, can you give us like a jury duty slip? Because I could sign off hours, so they wouldn't have to go."
Oh wow!
And so I was like, "Well, you could earn it." Like just a fucking creeper, like a 17-year-old that has no in my fucking suit, looking like a little chubby Harvey Weinstein, just like, "Oh, you want to earn that jury duty, huh?" Maybe 3:30 in the parking lot behind the athletics building.
Did it fucking work?
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I know now I cannot be in power. Because like at my first taste, my first chance to not fuck it up, I immediately fucked it up.
You know, but the Jag like.
Yeah, dude, and it wasn't even like the hottest ones that they weren't gonna do it. They had some self-respect, but yeah. So I settled for like mediocre titties for jury slips as like a 17-year-old.
Man, white privilege.
So great.
That's crazy. That's power though, right? Like that's better than like test scores and shit. That's for real.
Yeah, no, it did very well.
So how did you end up with McCain?
My dad was he ran like the Young Republican shit at SMU in college, and worked on Capitol Hill for a couple of years.
SMU?
Southern Methodist. It's a little private school in Dallas.
In Dallas,
That's where
okay.
he went to school. Yeah, my family, dude, it's so ridiculous. Like, we owned the last like working plantation in Dallas. Like, it's this place called Millermore.
Really?
And that was like just a few generations ago.
Yeah, like that's crazy.
Yeah, and here I am going to all black strip clubs. Like, fuck you, Grandpa. Like, but,
Yo, Grandpa sitting right next to you, like,
oh, absolutely,
get him, baby boy.
Yeah, 100%. No, he's dead as shit. But like,
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
His spirit's with you.
Oh, 100%. If those were real,
Damn,
he
you
would.
guys had fucking. So you still own it?
I know it's like a historical thing. The slaves are gone. I don't know if you did this. The plantations are closed.
Are you sure?
I know it doesn't feel like it. Like sometimes it's fucked up, but no, but yeah. So, so my dad's always been super involved in politics. Family's like
No, hold on. Let's go back to the plantation. You own a fucking plantation in Dallas.
Yeah,
No,
it's
that's
Millermore.
dope though. Millermore, is it gone now?
No, it's still there. They did like an interview. Shit, it's probably been 10, 15 years now, but it was on like the local news in Dallas, like them looking at it as a historical landmark. All my family, all buried in the same cemetery that used to be the rich white area, is now the poor Mexican
so you like
area.
your family owned the plantation?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Wow,
I'm from
I
old
don't know.
money, but I'm new broke.
I understand that. Hey man, I met Mark Tubman.
Okay.
And
Harriet's grandson?
Yeah, Harriet.
Oh, no way.
Not grandson, but the
Yeah.
plantation owners.
Oh, fuck.
Great
Yeah.
grandson. And
I
we were
forget about
getting
that part.
Yeah, that part. The whole plantation
the
thing.
name rape part.
Yeah.
Like, you have mine now.
So we're.
Sorry.
It's all good. Hey, we're in Vegas getting fucking hammered, right? And we wake up in the morning and we're like stumbling down from the MGM
Yeah.
to get breakfast or something.
Perfect.
Like 30 floors up, completely just done,
Yeah.
right? And there's a whole panel of buttons on the wall. And Mark Tubman, he's standing next to me, and we've been drinking all night and having fun and walking around the strip. And he's like, "Hey man, my parents owned Harriet Tubman. I'm sorry." And he's like, "Dude, it wasn't me. I love you, bro." I was like, we had one of those moments, like, fuck, cool, right? So in the morning, so we had just had that conversation. No shit, don't cover that laughing. Hey, we had that conversation. And we're like, oh, let's go eat and walk outside. Like, it's cool, racism, brand.
We are the world.
So we're in the elevator, and we're like, oh, man, cool. All these families are on, and we're going down floor by floor. He fucking leans against the panel. Ding, 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 ding. Every fucking floor lit up all the way down.
Not like
And
3/5 of them?
No, man. He fucking slid down the thing, man. Every floor. Every floor. So the family was like, every time we stopped, they all looked at us. They all looked forward. They all looked at us. Ding. Ding. Like,
Oh my god.
So that's the other
He
plantation
should have
slave owner I know.
apologized on every floor.
We did. I think I did.
Dad on
Of
Harry
course I
Tubman,
did.
sorry.
It's the
Dad on
Tubman.
Harry Tubman, sorry. Waz, hit the fucking door closed. They already heard it.
No, the elevator's full with people trying to get to the lobby. They're like standing on us. Oh yeah, and there's people out. It was terrible.
That's amazing.
That's the other plantation owners. I know.
Yeah. I don't understand why everybody says what happened in Vegas stays in Vegas. Like, we all go back and tell our Vegas stories.
Yeah, everybody does.
Everybody tells their Vegas stories.
I don't like Vegas.
It
I mean, shout out to Vegas. I know it's wonderful.
I don't like Vegas. Shout out to Vegas.
I just can't do more than 3 days. I love you for 24 hours. I'm amazed. The food's robust. The shows are cool. We're having fun. I'm wasted. I want to go home.
Yeah. I don't like Vegas unless I'm with real rich people.
Okay, I've never.
Like, I've
done that
gone
either.
a few times just like myself and like
Right.
going for work stuff and having, you know, like a decent time, but not going full out on the shows, like seeing one show,
Okay.
you know, or something like that. And then I had the privilege of going with some very wealthy friends.
Awesome.
And I was going to help like with a business thing, so he was paying my way for everything. And so we did like the VIP at the Hakkasan and the MGM.
Okay, whatever that is.
So it's a nightclub. It's like one of the biggest nightclubs in the world. It's inside the MGM, and we were sitting like From Me to You from Tiesto performing.
sick.
So it's like it's so crazy. Like I said, like this is fucking crazy. But the best part is like when you are in those areas of Vegas, not only are all drugs legal and available and for sale, but also there are people that do jobs you've never heard of before. Like we had one guy, he was called the girl guy. And he was kind of like an androgynous Asian dude. So when he walked up, he's like, "Hey, I'm the girl guy." I was like, "I don't think you can say that." He was like, he's like, "No. Like I go get girls." And I was like, "Oh, we don't need hookers yet. Like we'll get them later." And he's like, "No, dummy." So then like the little bottle service girl comes over and she's like, "No, you should tip him." So I'm like, "Okay." So we give him like $200.
Okay.
He leaves. Comes back like 15 minutes later with 4 of some of the hottest girls I've ever seen in my entire life. And he like tells them like, "Hey, you have to dance and hang out with these guys and then you can hang out up here." So like they're dancing and hanging out and then they all have like a drink in their hand, so they're sitting on the side of the booth. And so then he goes up and says, like, "You guys are dancing?" And they're like, "1 second." So then he goes over to security, and then security comes and grabs these girls and just drags them out. Like, never to be seen again, because they just sat down for a minute. He goes back, comes back with 4 more. And we're like, that's $200 ever.
It's a girl guy.
So that's the girl guy. Then the other dude looks like Brock Lesnar. Like, he's just, like, 6'3", like, 280, just ripped as fuck, but he's in a suit. And so we, like, you know, tipped him because he was, like, our little security dude. Mm-hmm. And when you would tell him you had to go to the bathroom, he would go, "Hold on." And, like, he, like, said, like, real weird. And you'd hold on to the middle of his suit jacket. And then he would just walk through Donkey Kong and bitches. And, like, there would be so many girls that were just, like, dressed, like, they'd spent hours, like, putting on, like, this, like, single-string dress that had to be just right so they didn't look naked. And, like, they would be like, "Yeah, I'm so hot." And then just, whoa. And, like, I'm dying laughing. So he would just beat our way to the bathroom. You'd walk through, like, the kitchen, and then you'd get to the bathroom, and then, like, all of the dudes, there were, like, 6 bathroom attendants, and they're all be like, "Hey, Mr. Mike, hey, Mr. Mike." And I'm like, "Wow, that's crazy. Did they tell you I was coming?" And they would take you down to the last stall. Like,
they knew your fucking name. His name wasn't Mike.
No, I was Mr. Mike.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
I know. It was crazy. So they took me down to the last, like, handicap stall, and then the dude from outside would go and spray down all of the toilet, and then the top of the toilet and go, "For your cocaine, sir." And I was like, "Oh, I'm not for coke." And he goes, "Okay." And then he walks out, and directly outside, like, shit, you know, like, this is still there to this day. Outside of the bathroom stall is a hand dryer. So he hits it, so it goes right out of your stall, so you can make whatever noises in there. So if you're doing your coke, no one can tell.
Oh, wow.
I was like, this is
awesome.
decadence.
That's decadence.
Yeah, and so, like, a lot of us were just going to the bathroom a lot just to watch this guy punch people. And, like, we'd go 2 at a time and make, like, a train. Just walking through. Like, look at that one.
Look at that.
Yeah. And we stayed there, and then, like, you know, people would come up, and they looked like people that were working at the club. They had name tags on and shit. And they would come by and be like, "Hey, do you need any Molly or cocaine or weed, perhaps?" And it was like, "What?" "Do you take cars?" And yeah, Square or Venmo. And it's like, get the fuck out
of here. Wow.
Yeah, man. So, like, and I've never had that experience, but I think they paid, like,
I think most of America has not had that experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty beautifully.
Oh, dude, I love
one
it.
experience.
Yeah.
Dude, my Vegas experience is, see, I'm from the lower end of the ladder, right? Mm-hmm. But happy and fucking stoked. I mean, trust me, I don't complain about my upbringing. It was tough, but it made me this.
Hell yeah.
Whatever the fuck this is. But, okay, so I shoot craps and shit, right? But not like big time, man. Like, I go to Vegas. I've gone to Vegas with like $50, right? And been stuck out there, get off the bus with $50 and like had a day to meet my friend. And I was like, fuck it. I don't care. I'll go to one of these small crap tables. If anybody's played craps, there's a board where there's the field, the cum, you can shoot the dice. I never touched the dice, right? I just played the fucking field. I know people are like, "Oh, you're an idiot." I know this guy's screaming right now, "You're an idiot for playing the field." I just put my shit down. There's like 4 or 5 numbers that you can hit on. 2, 4? No, I don't think 4 is one.
I don't know shit
6,
about
8,
gambling.
9. Anyway,
I would Google this shit. That's my
it's the
usefulness.
great, dude. I just let the chip stack. I walk out there with like $300 off of 50.
Yeah.
Walk around, get some booze, do whatever. I like sneaking into hotels and swimming and shit because nobody knows. Just walk in, right? And we go back to our little shitty hotel. We used to go to all of us from Arizona because Arizona's only 3.5, 4 hours away where I grew up.
Yeah.
Right. So I've been going out there since I was like 15, 16.
Oh shit.
We go out there a lot. We were broke as fuck though. Like my first fake ID, I had a Kango on in the picture, son.
Dude, that's
With
awesome.
a big ass smile on my face. Yeah, like boom, going to Vegas, man.
Hell
We
yeah.
did it a lot. So it was it's now the Hooters or something, but it was right by the MGM.
No, I know what you're talking about.
It was called the Rio or something. It was one of the old hotels, man. So it was kind of gaudy on the inside and like
Fuck
the red
yeah.
velvet. I love that shit.
Me too.
I haven't
Dude,
been
my
to
inner
old Vegas in
pimp
a while.
loves Vegas.
Isn't it good? Like the soft velvet floors and shit. You're like, this is
I want a cane.
Vegas, baby.
I want a cane.
I used to
Like with
carry
a big
cane.
diamond on the
And a
top.
sword inside.
Yeah, or sure. Yeah.
To protect yourself.
Slay some hoes and dragons. Yeah.
Slice of hose and dragons. So you travel a lot.
I do.
Oklahoma, Texas.
Louisiana, Arkansas.
Yeah. Driving.
Yeah.
So what do you do while you're driving?
I listen to comedy and podcasts and music.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of
yeah, you're a
music.
connoisseur of music. You really
Yeah.
like. I understand. You're really into music. and
Yeah, all of
lyrics.
it, yeah.
So favorite comedian right now? Like he pops on, you hear his voice, you know it's gonna fucking smack you in the face.
Oh man, right now I've been re-listening to a lot of like older albums from people.
Okay.
Mike Birbiglia's old album, Sleepwalk with Me.
Birbiglia.
Yeah.
I love it.
I mean, like, I haven't been listening to. I'm real picky about comedy. Like, I would much rather listen to a special I've heard 20 times than listen to like a garbage special.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't want to be mean about anybody, but like some people, like they used to be really good, and I would watch their shit as soon as it came out on Netflix or as soon as it dropped on Spotify or Pandora or whatever, and then I've watched some of their newer stuff, and it's like, dude, you sold out so hard.
Yeah.
Like everything that made you funny was like unique about you, and instead you accepted mainstream popularity, which I can't blame him. Like I fucking love money.
Yeah,
if you
right.
told me like, hey Mike, water down your shit and I'll give you $1 million, done.
Done.
No
Yeah.
more rape jokes. I'm in. But like
Immediately.
yeah, like for sure. Like I'll drop it. Like
And how would you not drop it? Like, who are you to say no? I'm going to keep doing these open mics and not get paid.
yeah,
I'm
exactly.
gonna keep my
Like,
grind going. You know what I'm saying? How do you say no to that?
exactly. So like I don't judge them, but like I also am not going to continue to listen to their content.
Which is a double-edged sword.
Yeah. So, but you know who I think is like probably like the best? Chad Daniels.
I love Chad Daniels.
Dude, I think he's probably like the most talented comedian. Like just from him or when Daniel Tosh does his stand-up. Like between
Tosh is a fucking genius. He's a word.
I hate his TV show, but his fucking stand-up is beautiful.
Yeah, I do those shows, those green screen shows. We watch them to go to bed. It's fun. It's like
Yeah.
duh, but it's nothing like
It's the shit they
catchy.
have on the background at the bar.
Yeah, that shit.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, man, but yeah, Tosh was a fucking wordsmith. Have you ever listened to Cy Edmondson?
No.
He's really good.
Perfect.
He's really
Check
good.
him out.
Yeah, I like, I'm on my search because I need it. I need comedy. And I
Yeah.
need it for my day, right? Because,
Yeah.
it's draining to be a human being.
Yeah, I haven't tried anything else, but like, yeah, like
I've been
for
trying
sure.
to be a bird for 13 years, man. That's awesome.
You have no shit.
I have. Are you jumping with me?
At some point again, yeah, I'm down. I'll jump out of a
skydiving.
plane. Yeah, of
Airplanes.
course.
Yeah.
I'm
But
down.
you want to go solo, you said.
Yeah, I would prefer to. I'm attempting to be less of me at the moment.
You'll make that happen.
Yeah, well, I did it once before. So, like, right before I moved to Austin, I had just finished losing, like, 80 pounds. Okay. And was, like, in a documentary, and it's like, all this great shit. And it's so funny, because documentaries take a while to do, like, post on.
Right.
And so they finish the documentary, and they do the very first official premiere, and I've gained back, like, 50 of those 80 pounds. But it was after, like, a year of keeping it off. And so, like, the documentary fucking comes out, and I'm sitting there in front row at, like, Alamo Draft House, and, like, I show up late, because I'm a fucking stoner, and I'm not, like, on time to anything ever.
Right.
So, like, I show in, like, I waddle, and I hide in the front row where no one else is sitting by me, and then my part in the movie comes up, and the guy's interviewing me. He's like, so what's different this time? He's like, I lost the weight and kept it off. Like, I'm cracking up in the front row. Like, they tell you about Austin tacos, motherfucker.
Well, why did you gain it back? What happened?
I stopped being intentional about it. Like, it used to be like I was very like specific about what I ate and like gave a shit.
Right, yeah.
And like I it was important. And like I was dating a chick, and so like she was like way out of my league, and so I was like, hey, yeah, if I get fat, like she's gone.
Right.
And like I don't like to have to look to get laid. Like I like that to be like an option always.
Right.
So like, you know, so there's motivation, and then. Yeah, I started doing stand-up for the very first time. Like, the very first time I ever performed was right after I'd lost all that weight. So I was like, oh, I'm confident now. I can get up on stage and like, I won't care if anyone can see my chins because they aren't as big. And I got up there, and I had like 2 good jokes of like a 4-minute set. It was a big popular open mic in Dallas. And I was a newcomer and didn't know anybody on the scene. So I went like second or third to last.
Of course.
I had brought out like 15 of my friends to watch. 2 of them had stayed. Because it was like 4 fucking hours of comedy. Right. And like we'd already heard the good Tinder jokes, the bad Tinder jokes, and the really bad Tinder jokes. And I was like, so I have more Tinder jokes. It's like, right, shit. Yeah. So like, you know, all of this comedy, most of it was not very good. And then I, you know, finally got up there and was just like, all right, let's do this. And even being dejected, like I was still nervous as shit. And I did that one. I did one more set there. I got hired to MC a gig. Like my very third time performing, I got paid to do it. Nice. And I bombed terribly.
To host it.
Yeah, I was MCing.
All you had to do was say, this is the show, haha, here's 1, 2 jokes, this is my first dude.
Bingo. I know.
What'd you do?
So the event was this thing. It's called Trash Bash Music Stash.
Okay.
The idea behind it is they take everybody in buses. They drive them a mile away from the venue. Everybody walks a mile back to the venue picking up trash. They trade that for a free drink and free entry to music. So there's like 6 or 7 bands going on. It's in like a real cool part of Dallas. My buddy has organized it. And he's like, hey, I'll pay you to MC. You're real funny. I'm like, fucking great. So my plan is to go up there and start by pandering and thanking all of the sponsors and all the people and being really nice. My buddy spends 2 minutes doing that. So I'm like, well, I can't really do that anymore. So I got up there and he just introduced me as comedian, and there's like sound issues. Everybody had been taken too far and they were out of beer. So people are like already kind of grumpy and upset.
Oh, that's fucked up.
So I get up there and I'm like, hey everybody, I'm Mike, I'm a local comic. I just, you know, wanted to thank, you know, our sponsors again. Thank you guys. But I want to thank the most important people of all, everyone who litters, because without them, what the fuck were we doing today? And like, that's not a good joke. But it's an okay joke. It's a decent opener. And some fucking, this is one of those times when hecklers win. Some fucking lady, like 10 back, like right to the left, center vision, stands up and goes, is this your first time? And there's children there, and they've already told me I can't swear, which is like my backbone is to make like grotesque comparisons. So like, right. I'm like, all right, I'll just be real mean to her, and that'll shut her up. And I'm like, I can't be vulgar. Oh no. And so I just responded and went, third? That's the most clever shit I had. And so I immediately started making jokes about there were a lot of bikers there, and I made fun of how sexy bikers are, which I don't believe at all. But I said it so that they would like me again.
And did it work?
For a minute. So then I introduced the next band, and I immediately am like, oh my God, what happened? And all these people are yelling at me, and I'm like, so I go back to like the green room, and I'm standing there talking to some of the other artists that are going on later, and they're like, hey man, that was rough. And I was like, dude, I fucking know. It really is my third time. They're like, well, you could tell. And I'm like, you dick. Like, they're like, let me get you a drink. And I'm like, they're free. Like, that's piece of shit. So I go and I start drinking, and the first band plays like a 45-minute set. And I'd been nervous all day about it, so I hadn't eaten, and I wasn't thinking about that. And so I'd had, I don't know, probably 6 Long Islands at this point on an empty stomach. So the next band going up is this awesome band, this really nice guy, Justin Casey, is the lead singer, and they're called Uneasy Pilgrim. And he's told me that, and he showed me their shit on Facebook, and I'm like, all right, this is going to be great. So then I get back up there, and I'm like, jokes, and said some dumb, drunken stuff. Got mediocre laughter, and then I was like, and I'm next. The Pilgrim Men. And Justin's such a great fucking guy. He's like, and now we're the Pilgrim Men.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Like, just rolled with it. But that was like, you know, and like none of my friends had showed up for it, and like I didn't have anybody there I knew.
So you like having people there that you know?
Yeah, usually.
Man, I don't want anybody there that I know.
So I don't want like my parents there.
Right. But your friends.
Like I would hate for my mom to hear, you know, any of my jokes.
Shit, yeah, for real.
Yeah, dude, I have a mom tattooed to just like, no matter what I do that's like piece of shit, Mike, like, I have a mom tattooed. That's so sweet. It's a get out of jail free card.
Right on.
She doesn't know how many of her grandchildren I've killed, but like, $400 at a time. But like, she would be distraught, but I have a mom tattoo, so it's fine.
So that makes it all good. All right. So Mike Eaton, where can we find you? Where are you at? Hey, we're over on time, so we got to.
So, false flat abortion joke. Hey, so Mike Eaton, where can we find you? Probably a Planned Parenthood, apparently. Like, Jesus Christ. Great time to end it.
That was perfect, man. I thought that was great.
I have an uncensored Twitter where I have no holds barred, and I say just my thoughts, and a lot of it ends up on stage. That's Mike Eaton Comedy.
Mike Eaton Comedy, baby.
Eaton's my last name. It's right. Instructions to look like me.
MikeEaton.
Yeah. And then add me on Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm around.
Right on. WazzyCircus Radio, guys. Thanks for checking me out, son. Hey, I'll see you guys soon, love. Thanks, Mike. Hey, man.
Yeah, let's go!